Hello all. Now in this lecture you will understand the MongoDB architecture and its data model. So first of all we'll see what is MongoDB. Now MongoDB is a NoSQL document oriented database. So MongoDB is a document oriented database, meaning that in MongoDB data is stored as documents. Now if you take relational database like PostgreSQL, MySQL, data is stored as row column format in tables, right? But in document on a database you don't bother about relationships. Simply you store all the information in a single document, and it is a NoSQL database. Simply it is a not only SQL database, it has more features uh, than you get from a traditional relational database environment, and it has a flexible JSON like data model. So all the MongoDB documents are stored in JSON format, which is a flexible and easy to use data format, and it is easy to understand as well. And it is a high performing database. You can have fast uh, indexing in MongoDB environment, right? So your queries will be tremendously fast over traditional relational database environments. And it has an embedded data model, so you forget relationships and you store all the information in a single document. So as a result of that you can get rid of expensive joins, so your queries will be tremendously fast. And MongoDB scales well. It supports both horizontal scalability and vertical scalability. You achieve horizontal scalability through sharding, right? And you achieve vertical scalability by improving your underlying hardware. And it supports high availability as well. You can always achieve redundancy, and you can achieve a failover. You can achieve multiple secondary nodes. You can achieve primary to secondary failover, right? So you'll understand these concepts in the later part of the lecture. And MongoDB comes with a rich query language called MongoDB query language. You can perform any query that you want to use in your application using MongoDB query language. It's a flexible, robust, and fast query engine. Okay, and it supports multiple storage engines. So when you are dealing with storage, it's important you store information in the lowest amount of disk space. So in order to achieve that, you use MongoDB compression engines, right? So there are many compression engines available in MongoDB. So we had Tiger, ZHTD, those are the available compression engines. So based on the type you pick, the compression ratio will be changed. Okay, and MongoDB comes with several editions. Community edition, which is free of charge, and you can use community edition in your production environments as well. And you have enterprise edition that you need to pay for your subscription, and you need to uh, buy that database from MongoDB, right? And when you achieve enterprise edition in your data center, you will get features like security, monitoring, so on and so forth, right? And in addition to this, you will have Atlas edition, which is the version that you deploy MongoDB in cloud environments. So based on your preference, you can pick your edition. Okay, and in your right side you will see um, the customers who are already using MongoDB in their enterprise environments. You have EA Sports, Verizon, Facebook, Gap, PSN, eBay, UPS. Now those are some of the big brands which already use MongoDB in their enterprise environments. Right. Then we go ahead and see how MongoDB replica sets work. Now MongoDB replica set is the hardware topology that most of the enterprise use cases use in their data centers, right? So you have your application, then you have the MongoDB instances. So primarily you have primary MongoDB instance, and you have secondary MongoDB instance. Then you can have another secondary node or arbitrary node, right? Now this is the basic apparatus which most of the MongoDB applications use. Okay, so your application will write only to a single node. So all the reads and write happens through the primary node, and primary node will asynchronously replicate to a secondary node. Actually, you can control whether you need to write it asynchronously or synchronously by setting a parameter. So before one application writes, you have to send the acknowledgement only after certain secondary nodes are updated with the data you just wrote, right? So that feature is optional, and you can use that feature based on your requirement, right? So simply in the most basic case, you write to the same write node, and you read from the same primary node which you wrote. Okay, and asynchronously you do the replication to the secondary node. Okay, if primary goes down, then the MongoDB environment should promote the secondary node to a primary, right? In order to achieve this primary election, it is using a voting system. So when you have 3 nodes, right, in order to elect a primary you need 2 votes, right? So if primary goes down, so you have 2 more nodes, one is secondary and you have another secondary node. So by a simple voting process they can elect one of these as secondary, right? So that's why you are deploying an odd number of instances in MongoDB environment. Simply if one fails, then you can easily promote one instance out of the remaining instances as the primary node. Right now, when you are deploying this third instance, you can either go for another secondary node or only an arbitrary node. So what's the difference between secondary node and arbitrary node? If you use a secondary node, the replication happens, the data replication happens from this secondary node to this secondary node as well, right? But if you use an arbitrary node, the data replication won't happen, but this node will participate in the voting process, which is a mandatory requirement to elect the primary at the time a failover happens. Okay, so in order to save cost, most of the enterprise use cases prevent a secondary node, but they'll go only for an arbitrary node. So data replication won't happen in the second node. Simply the third node will act as arbitrary node to participate in the voting process. Right now, let's consider the CAP theorem. So in the CAP theorem, you have availability, consistency, and partition, and you can achieve only 2 of these in a given environment. Okay, so simply because MongoDB reads and writes are happening to the same primary node, right? MongoDB is in consistency and partition tolerance bracket. Okay, so MongoDB gives consistency and partition tolerance in accordance with CAP theorem. Okay, and sometimes you may allow reads from secondary node based on the application. You can allow read from secondary node. So there is availability. So you can achieve availability for certain use cases as well, right? So your application by passing certain parameters, you can read from secondary node instead of reading from primary node. So in that case, you can achieve availability up to a certain extent, but primarily when you deploy MongoDB in basic setup, it gives you consistency and partition tolerance. So at the expense of certain consistency, you can read from secondary node to achieve availability, right? So that happens in very rare use cases, but primarily you can achieve consistency and partition tolerance in MongoDB in accordance with CAP theorem. So this is how you deploy a replica set. So you have your application, then you have primary node, then secondary node will take the backup from primary node. So in case primary fails, secondary will become primary. Okay, then you can have a secondary node or arbitrary node. If you have a secondary node, so you have 2 data replication nodes, right? And both nodes will participate in voting. So in the third node, you can go for either secondary node or arbitrary node. So if you use arbitrary node, data replication will not happen to this secondary node, but when primary node fails, the arbitrary node will take part in the primary election voting process. Okay, so that's how the MongoDB replica sets work. So let's see how MongoDB sharding works. Now sharding is the principle behind MongoDB achieving horizontal scalability, right? So this is how sharding works in MongoDB. So in your application server, you have MongoS. So MongoS is a process that is installed in MongoDB in your application server, right? So and also you have to deploy 3 configuration servers, right? I'll tell you why these configuration servers are needed. You have to deploy at least 3 in order to achieve availability and failover. Okay, then this is the shards. Now sharding is nothing but a collection of MongoDB replica sets, right? Now this is a 3 replica set shard, right? So each shard will store certain type of data, and this shard will store certain type of data, and this shard will store certain type of data. So each shard has a primary and secondary primary, secondary. primary, secondary, secondary. Only difference is chart 1 will store count 1 to 1000, chart 2 might store count 1001 to 2000, chart 3 will store 2001 to 3000. So this is how the data load is distributed across 3 charts. So all the configurations are defined in this config server, right? And you have to run MongoX process in your application server, right? Then only you can configure your application to consume the Mongo shard cluster. Okay, so the key concept that you need to understand is each replica set will store one type of data. So count ID 1 to 1000, count ID 1001 to 2000, 2001 to 3000. So load is distributed, and you see this Mongo S and config server. When a request comes from application process to Mongo, so Mongo will go and hit the right Mongo shard. Okay, and to maintain this process, you have to spend a lot of cost. You have to maintain 3 config servers, and you have to run Mongo S, and you have to run replica set separately. So in very special circumstance, when you need a very extremely high workload conditions, you are utilizing this MongoDB sharding architecture. So this is how you deploy a sharded replica set in MongoDB. Okay. So through this mechanism, you can achieve horizontal scalability. So let's go ahead and see MongoDB document-based data model. Right, as I explained earlier, MongoDB is a document-based database. Okay, so and MongoDB does not have a schema. If you take a relational database, you have a schema, right? So you have to store data according to a schema, right? But in document-based database, you don't have schemas, right? Simply you can store data at your will, right? So if you are storing a personal profile, so in a traditional world, what you do is you define your basic details, then you define tables for address, phone numbers, favorite food, so on and so forth, right? So when it comes to maintenance, let's say you want to add another field for that personal profile, let's say favorite books, then you have to create another table and you have to join them, right? So you have to do a heck of task to do a modification to the existing structure. But if you take a MongoDB document, simply because it does not have a schema, you can add any number of properties to the existing document, right? So it's very easy to maintain, and it is very suitable for highly agile environments. So agility is very high in MongoDB compared to relational databases. So these are the key elements in a MongoDB environment. We have the database, collections, documents. So database is nothing but the entire database which holds all the collections. Collections are nothing but tables in relational environments, and we have documents which store actual data in physical format. So this is an example for a document. We have ID, city, location, right? So location is a list, right? And population, state. So in this format, as key value pairs, you are storing documents or the information in MongoDB. And MongoDB supports indexes, right? And those are very fast indexes, right? And those are extremely fast comparing to the indexes you find in traditional relational database indexes. So you have ID field index. So moment you create a document, it will be indexed using the ID by default, right? So this is ID index underscore ID, right? So in the right side you see the ID. So once you create this document in MongoDB environment, MongoDB will index this using the ID field. Then you have the compound index. So if you want to create index in city and distance, you can create an index in MongoDB by pairing these two properties, city and distance. And it supports multi-key index. So that means you can index all the elements in the array, right? Let's say location is an array now, right? And you can index elements in a list with multi-key indexes, okay? And it supports geospatial index. When you are storing geographical information, spatial data, you can index using geospatial index. And it supports text index, right, which is not available feature in relational databases. So you can perform full text search with MongoDB. So MongoDB is a flexible database which supports an array of index types. So based on your preference, you can pick indexes and optimize your queries to achieve phenomenal performance in MongoDB. Okay, now let's see how MongoDB query language is implemented. Now MongoDB query language is a versatile, robust and flexible query language, right? So if you are moving from relational world to MongoDB document oriented world, it is very easy to migrate, right? So MongoDB has provided a very easy to use platform to write queries, right? So let's see an example. Now this is a typical SQL query. Select all from inventory where status equal a and qty smaller than 30, right? So you can write the same SQL using MongoDB core language, db.inventory.find and status a qty lt 30. So you can achieve the same SQL query in MongoDB using a very concise syntax. So it's very easy to use, very easy to learn, very easy to migrate from traditional SQL to MongoDB core language, and it comes with vast array of features, right? It is providing all the aggregation operations, all the grouping operations, order by, joins, right? So it's a very flexible and robust core language. So it supports CRUD with bulk operations. So if you want, you can achieve bulk inserts, bulk deal, bulk updates, so on and so forth, right? So it is very powerful, right? So you can utilize MongoDB core language in bulk operations as well, and it supports aggregation support with joins. So always you can use the aggregation operational with joins or without joins, grouping, matching, so on and so forth, right? So MongoDB is a very powerful, flexible, versatile core language that you can practice at your comfort, right? So you should not hesitate to use MongoDB because it is a platform. It's not a database. It's a platform that you can um, do numerous enterprise activities in MongoDB platform. Okay, so I hope you get a good understanding on MongoDB in this lecture. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.